Tech News Weekly is sponsored by Hover.com. Go to gfu.hover.com and get 10% off your entire purchase. FreshBooks. FreshBooks is an easy-to-use online invoicing service that saves you time, gets you paid faster, and makes you look professional. Get started completely for free at FreshBooks.com. And by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook by going to audiblepodcast.com/GFQ.
Starting Tech News Weekly in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome everybody to Tech News Weekly. I'm Andrew Zarian, joined by Suncast, all the way in the wonderful land of Detroit.
The wonderful land? Who said Detroit is wonderful?
It's awful. It's an awful place. We
People
know.
get shot every day there.
We know. We know it's an awful place. You can watch us live on gfqlive.tv, or you can listen to us on podcast, audio and video podcast form at gfqnetwork.com. We're also available on iTunes, Zune, and pretty much everywhere else that you could imagine. A lot's been going on, and actually we're working on an iPad site.
iPad, iPod, iPhone, iOS, whatever iOS devices are out there. I can't keep track anymore.
Yeah, well, gfqnetwork.com is totally compliant, right?
Yes.
I'm going there right now.
Well, not all of our episodes are switched over yet.
Everything from this week on.
Yes. This week is when we started to do the new code for HTML5.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going there right now.
Our website, all our shows, you can actually watch the video now with your iPhone, or if you don't have Flash installed, you can watch the video now because it's all H.264 and all that stuff.
Yeah, it looks really good, actually. I'm really happy with it. So we're working on that. So if you are in an iOS device, you can now listen on the go and watch live on the go, and including Stitcher Radio. So Stitcher, you could get us on Stitcher. So a lot's been going on this week. Actually, before we start the news, I wanted to just run something by the viewers and Suncast here. You know, we've been working on Spencer's video for some time now, and he's really come a long way with where it was a year ago. He has this amazing high-def camera. He has two amazing high-def cameras, but the camera he's using now, he's bringing it in via FireWire. And I'm putting this out to our viewers, and if you have an answer or solution for us, send us an email at guysfromqueens@gmail.com, because I'm kind of running out of answers. He is having an issue bringing in HDV video, high-def video, via FireWire. Now, I heard it's possible. Maybe it's not possible, but maybe it is. If you know anything about bringing in high-def video via FireWire to CamTwist or Flash Media Encoder or Wirecast, please send me an email at guysfromqueens@gmail.com. I'm kind of running out of ways to test this, and it's been extremely unsuccessful so far. So send me an email at guysfromqueens@gmail.com, and hopefully you could help me out with this. I think it's the first time we've done something like that, right, Suncast? First time we put out there to the viewers. I mean,
I'm for help.
Yeah, I'm totally out of answers, and you know how I've been working on this for some time now with him.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do.
Well, you've been working on this for like a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's great that he's in widescreen now. We just got to fine-tune it now.
Yeah, that's all. You know, he's a little older. He might not get it.
He was telling me that today. I'm an old man, Suncast.
Is that what he was saying?
Yeah. I was telling him how all our stuff on gfqnetwork.com is in HTML5 now and can view it on your iPhone.
He had no idea what you were talking about, right?
It's like, I'm an old man now, so
I don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't understand how any of this stuff works.
That's hysterical. No, actually, to get to some tech news, we covered a lot of it on Tuesday, but Carol Bartz, the CEO of Yahoo, has been axed. Bartz has been named the CEO, the chief executive of since 2009, January 2009, no longer has a job. In a note sent to Yahoo employees this afternoon, this is a couple days ago, Bartz noted that the board fired her. I'm very sad to tell you that I have been fired over the phone by Yahoo's chairman of the board.
She made a point of saying over the phone.
Yeah. She made a lot of things. You know, one thing about her, she's always been very aggressive, and I don't know I don't know a lot about what goes on in that company, but from what I have read and what I have heard, she was very aggressive. She was almost like a pit bull. And the board got rid of her because she was brought on to kind of grow Yahoo and grow the growth of what's happening with the search and everything else that they're doing. And she really didn't do a great job at it.
No, but Yahoo hasn't been doing good for her for long before she even became the CEO.
Do you blame her or do you blame the company? I mean, she
I think there's plenty of blame to go around. I think there's blame with the board. I think there's blame with the CEO. I don't know where the exact blame lies, but it's like there's been a whole bunch of past CEOs. I'm trying to find the list right now. I have it somewhere in my notes, but there's been like 3 or 4 CEOs in the last decade. Now, is that to me tells me it's not necessarily a problem with the CEOs, but also with the board, you know? It's almost kind of like the Apple issue where until Steve Jobs came along, Apple really wasn't that great of a company. And then they found that one CEO that was a godsend. I kind of see that Yahoo is kind of in the same boat, not necessarily for the same reasons, but for the fact that they haven't been able to find a CEO in the last decade to really take them in to a competitive level where like Microsoft and Google are.
Let me see. Yeah, that is correct, actually. Healthstar in our chat said, didn't she try to avoid being fired? Yeah, she actually did. She was dodging them for a little bit because she knew it was coming. Now, this is interesting because this is a big move by Yahoo. Yahoo was a company that was, there were rumors that they're going to get bought, and the deal didn't really fall through, and it was a big flop on Yahoo's side when the offer was there, and they really, really screwed up the deal. But where does Yahoo go from here? Where do you see the future of a company like Yahoo? Because Yahoo is not only search, they're like a full-service site. They offer you news. I'm just going to Yahoo right now. Yeah, mail. I mean, they offer it's very much like what Google's offering, but not on a grand scale.
They also have a lot of great developer tools as well. Not everything they do is successful, but they do have a lot of great tools, and they do offer a lot of great stuff for developers. They may not be as widely utilized as people at Yahoo would like, but nonetheless, they do have great developer tools that people like myself, I do use Yahoo tools.
Do you really? What do you use from them?
Just recently, I was working on a website, and I used some stuff from Yahoo. They basically have this font library kind of stuff called QFont. And so you know how you can load JavaScript from a server?
Yeah.
And so they basically host it, and then I just copy it and paste it into the website. That's what they do. And it's great.
I mean, there's so much potential for these companies. I mean, they're really not in the browsing game. They're not in the web search game anymore because they're using Bing. But there's so much potential for a site like Yahoo and the branding. It's just, I think with Google being so dominant, they're all
and Microsoft
hurt. Bing has done great. I mean,
is there really room there for a third major competitor?
Yeah, there is room for a major competitor. I think Yahoo, to be honest, I like Bing a lot, but Yahoo kind of to a lot of people, it's more comforting than using Bing because it's been around so long.
They certainly have the user base there with all their services.
With that said, I'm on their site. I'm on their Yahoo.com, and I really don't feel that they've been able to adapt their website to Web 2.0. I know they have websites like Flickr and other providers, other services, but they acquired Flickr and they acquired a couple other companies. But I really don't feel that they fully
haven't been very innovative in the sense where Google and Microsoft have brought more innovation. Even in the case where Microsoft was allegedly copying what Google was doing, they're still leaps and bounds ahead of the technology and the way things work with the Yahoo website.
I just Googled Andrew Zarian in Bing, and before I could finish, it says Andrew Zarian's wife. So many people have been Googling Andrew Zarian's wife on... this is the thing that obsessed me about
the internet.
I know everybody loves Bing. Oh my God, this guy's like a poor man's version of me. Everybody loves Bing.
What?
And everybody's like using it, and they're saying the photo is so good and the video search is so good. None of the pictures are me. Like Chauncey Hayton and some girl I've never met shows up before me. It's a modeling website.
Isn't that kind of good though? Like
I
your
mean,
face is on there. You have plausible deniability.
Yeah, but I do want my face on there. I'm gonna search Yahoo. I wonder if the same thing comes up. It should for Yahoo.
Yeah, I remember just said that Yahoo is kind of stuck in like 2001.
Yeah. Well, they're using it's the same exact search
degree.
for Yahoo. It's the same search. I think Yahoo is a great brand. Say what you want about Yahoo right now, but it's a name, it's a brand that they could really revitalize, and this is their chance with.
Yeah, they just need to kind of like reinvent themselves from the beginning. They need to kind of cut off their dead loss, anything that's not working great for them. I think they did this in the past, but it's really never worked out for them before.
I'm really curious.
Need to start from a brand new beginning.
I'm curious when a company like that falls behind, because Yahoo was extremely dominant until recently. The last, let's say last couple years, they really fell off and Google took off. When I say couple, I mean about 5 or 7 years. But how do you change your image once you become the old dinosaur? How do you do that? And what do you do?
Like I said, you just got to start from the beginning. Start all over again. You got to start from the fact of you basically have to be a new company. Forget everything that you've done before, because Yahoo is a company that's been around since the 90s. And the 90s way of doing things on the internet isn't cool anymore. It's not what works anymore. You have to go into the mindset of it's 2011. You're a company that's starting out right now. What do you do in 2011 to become a successful company?
Well, here's the interesting thing. AOL's chief executive, Tim Armstrong, has reached out to Yahoo to see if the company, which just fired Carol Bartz, would be interested in merging the two companies. This is according to Bloomberg.
This is very interesting because there's been talk in the past where Armstrong about a year ago actually approached Bartz asking if they would be interested in some sort of merger.
And listen, this is what AOL has been doing, right? The last 2 years has become acquisition after acquisition after acquisition. They have grabbed every major blog known to man. And then again, don't take everything I say literal, but they've acquired a ton of these blogs. They've acquired Huffington Post and TechCrunch and Engadget,
but even AOL isn't in the greatest of shapes right now.
No, and AOL is not really known for search, and they've gone into a different direction totally from what they were.
The question is, can you take two struggling companies like that, merge them, and make them into a powerhouse?
Well, what would you do with AOL? See, here's the thing. AOL, and again, this is the funny thing. This is a brand that people recognize, but it became a dirty word. Yeah. AOL became a not so cool hip site, and AOL has done a total transformation and has become something that it never was now. What would they gain by Yahoo? Who does AOL use for search? Let me see this. Are they using?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see.
They're using Google. Yeah, they're using Google
How
search.
could they merge the companies together and make one powerful company? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is I can't necessarily think of anything off the top of my head that would bolster both companies merging together and creating something new and revolutionary. Because
ad revenue. They would be able to generate ad revenue.
They already do that though. That's nothing new.
I'm just looking here. AOL's using Google currently, and Bing and Yahoo's using Bing. So that would be interesting how they would do that if they were to merge into one company. Or they keep them separate. They would keep the search separate. But this is interesting how these brands are kind of thinking about considering merging and becoming
it's whether
one.
or not two wrongs make a right kind of situation. Do two bad companies merging into one company become one good company?
Carol Bartz also told Fortune to Yahoo after over.
Oh, she's pissed.
Oh, yeah, listen, she's.
I think I read one article where she said that they gave her like 2 hours to pack her stuff out and get out.
No, she knew because first of all, she's kind of a loose cannon, and it's not really great that she's going around bashing Yahoo like this. Say what you want about her, but I
personally
don't think
have never really cared for her, but you got to try something. And I think it was worth a shot, and it probably gone on a little bit too long.
Yeah, and this is coming, Yahoo's made so many mistakes in the last couple of years. Microsoft offered him, what was it, $45 billion? $44.5 billion, something like that. in
Yeah,
2008.
$44 billion.
And it was probably one of the worst decisions ever to make by not taking that deal, because they're nowhere near that revenue right now.
Yeah, but what would Microsoft have done with Yahoo? Would they just acquired it and killed it?
No, they would have kept the brand. They would have used Bing like they're using now. They would have probably kept all the services and revamped
But then
it.
again, where would Microsoft be if they had done Yahoo? Would Bing have become the brand that it is now?
Yeah, I'll tell you about Bing. Bing is interesting because Bing has a lot of potential to continue growing and continue taking dominance from. I mean, it's only Bing and Google at this point.
Yeah.
That's it. You have Bing and you have Google, and that's it. Everything else, I mean, there's a ton of other search companies, but they're not anywhere near the level that those two are at. So it's interesting. Some more Yahoo news. There's a lot going on with the board. Did they fire the people on the board yet? Because that was another story that they were saying, how the board has been making so many mistakes.
I don't think they have, but then again, there was another aspect of the story that I'm trying to find where
Holy crap, $44.6 billion. Microsoft's $31 per share constituted a 62% premium on Yahoo's trading price at the time. They doubled the price and they said, "Oh, here you go." No, no, we're worth more.
No, I mean, like I said, there's plenty of blame to go around here, both with the board and the CEO. You can't say that it's only Bart's fault for the failures of Yahoo. It's also the board's fault.
Yeah, this is what happens when you have bad people running a company. And it's Apple's a perfect
Right.
example. Apple was a company that, did really well, and Steve Jobs left. And, Steve was to blame for a lot of things, too, that went wrong. But Steve turned it into the Apple that we know now. And, right now it's a different time for Apple because they've kind of positioned themselves not to make these mistakes again. But we don't know what'll happen. It's a new CEO, and Apple's a perfect example of having a good CEO that could lead the company and awful CEOs that could really destroy the company. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. The guidance is extremely important. AOL, to move on a little bit, because I want to.
Yeah, we were speaking about AOL just a minute ago. And,
this is interesting, too.
Come to find out that there's been some big changes at TechCrunch, which is owned by AOL.
Recently, and it's kind of governed by Ariana Huffington. Huffington is in charge of all the blogs.
Yeah.
Ariana Huffington is from the Huffington Post, so she's pretty much running all these blogs, and she's in charge of these sites. And this is the interesting thing. Early in the week, we saw the news come out, and TechCrunch, I think it was MG Siegler, put out a post on TechCrunch saying, "Oh, the TechCrunch that we know is gone."
Yeah, this is really interesting, the way that they've been treating Michael Arrington. No matter what you want to say about the guy, do you necessarily need to go out on TechCrunch and other blogs and basically smear the guy? Because I think they've kind of treated him a little bit unfairly. They've been calling him names and all sorts of stuff on blogs, saying he's the worst guy ever.
No,
and
Arrington.
I don't
is
understand it.
I'll tell you about Arrington. Arrington is a different type of journalist. Arrington, there's certain things that journalists follow. One being you don't dip into a company, then write about it and praise it. Arrington has done that multiple times. He's also a angel investor, and he does other investing in companies. He owns a multitude of companies.
That's what's got him in trouble now, is that
he
started a venture capital or a venture investment firm, and so now there's this conflict of interest, and AOL basically said, well, you can't really do both at the same time. You gotta, do one or the other.
Yeah, and
I mean, if you're gonna do your investment stuff, your venture investment, you need to do that, and you can't do TechCrunch stuff anymore.
You know why I like TechCrunch? TechCrunch has a lot of internet news, like Mashable does, that a lot of other blogs do not cover. There's a lot of smaller companies that I'm interested in, so I read about that. But when it comes to mainstream news and when it comes to stuff that I really don't want a one-sided opinion on, I really have a hard time with TechCrunch, because it is a little one-sided. And
but
where they stand.
See, the way I see that is that's just the way I think things are run over there with AOL and their content. I don't necessarily feel that they always give a fair shot to everything.
But Engadget is very much well known for hating BlackBerry, right?
They come around a little bit, but yes. At the same time, though, it's kind of justly deserved to hate on BlackBerry.
Yeah.
because I was kind of blind for a while there when I was, heavily involved with BlackBerry. I'm like, why do they hate on BlackBerry so much? But now that I'm no longer really involved, I can clearly see BlackBerry is and was doing really bad. I mean, they've improved, in my opinion, marginally, but that doesn't mean that everything they do is great. I mean, you want to look at the playbook, for example. The blogs and Engadget loved it, but look where it is today.
Well, Joshua Topolsky also resigned. He was the editor of Engadget, and he resigned after the merger. And now Arrington is gone. So it shows you that there are major shakeups into trying to change the guidance of these sites.
Yeah.
And this is interesting. I wonder where the loyalty stands. I wonder how many of these writers are going to leave. And
if I'm not mistaken,
TechCrunch.
all these changes actually happened after the Huffington Post was acquired, and those changes were made where Ariana Huffington became the woman in charge of all these blogs.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I really don't. I like a lot of aspects of Engadget. I dislike a lot of aspects of Engadget. The same goes for TechCrunch. I like some of the stuff they do. I don't like some of the stuff they do.
Engadget, in a way, is kind of a large enough brand where it can get away with more things than I think somebody like TechCrunch could.
In what sense you mean? Like with bashing? Well, you know what it is. TechCrunch, because this is the silly thing that happened. Engadget is not, and I like Engadget, and I like the guys at Engadget. Most of them are New York guys, and I've chatted with a lot of them. The thing about Engadget is it's exactly what it's gadgety stuff. It's just laptop reviews and things like that.
But wouldn't you say that Engadget is by far a much larger known tech blog than TechCrunch?
It depends. Like if you want like inside tech stuff, no, TechCrunch is the go-to for many, many people.
Really?
Yeah. Engadget is more for people that like, the toys, like the cell phones and stuff. That's how I see it. That's my opinion.
So
I mean, I could be wrong.
Like Engadget for years and years, but then to me, TechCrunch isn't as well known.
Well, look, I'll tell you why TechCrunch is big. I mean, they have the startup page. They have different departments. They even have the entrepreneur stuff, and that's what got them in trouble. Because they're really, it's weird. There's a conflict of interest there, and I don't know. It's interesting. And
that's what Michael Arrington did.
Yeah, that was Arrington's guidance. I mean, that's what he bred, and it's a different type of journalist. And maybe he is right. Maybe that it is a new day for journalism, and it is a different time because now you can't own stock. Technically, you're not supposed to own any stock in a company for commenting on it.
Yeah.
Technically, you're not. Or you have to disclose everything. Many people don't disclose anything anymore. Many people don't cover everything because you also have to remember it's a different type of mindset. You're on the internet now. It's not print. And many of these guys that are writers and well-known writers never came from print. So they have this cynical, I'm going to bash everything attitude when it comes to covering technology. Mm-hmm. It's a different beast. It's a totally different beast. And I don't know, it's fascinating. I don't know if the way of old journalism is proper, or is this the new way? And just this is how we have to get used to it. People just writing about stuff they're involved in.
Is the way we consume the media.
And let me ask you this, and because you listen to what I talk about, and I rarely listen.
No, I don't.
Am I one-sided with things? I try not
Occasionally,
to be.
yes.
With what?
Occasional.
Okay, so tell me with what, because I'm curious. And I got an email from somebody, and I got 2 emails from 2 people, one saying they like the fact that I'm unbiased and I don't pick a side, and the other one saying I favor certain things. So what do I favor?
I think you are clearly a Mac lover. I'm not saying that you're unfair, but it does seem like sometimes you favor Mac more than you would Windows and Microsoft and PC.
I try not to, and I'm not. I guess maybe I don't, and that was the same exact email. They said you favor Apple, you love Apple stuff, you never talk bad about Apple, but if there's a story to talk about Apple, I'll talk about Apple. Like people are saying, how come you're not really covering the patent stuff with Apple going after Samsung? And I said it doesn't interest me.
Yeah,
like I don't really.
And those things are really hard to cover because, for one, they're a dime a dozen these days. Every day there's a new who's suing who for what patent infringement. So really, are you going to cover every single patent infringement lawsuit out there?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I try not to, but you know what? I'm on with Paul Thurrott every Wednesday, and what am I doing? I'm attacking Apple. Right?
I think
I try to be in the middle, and it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Like if you own a product, and I think this is the same thing. If you own the product that you're commenting on, or people know that you have some sort of interest in it, no matter what you say about the company, people are going to perceive you as biased, and it's going to perceive you as taking a certain side. I try my best not to take a certain side. There are many things with Apple that I am not happy with. I'm not happy with the fact that Firefox no longer works with it. I'm not happy with the fact that Flash is awful with it. But do you blame Apple? Do you blame the software?
you blame Apple.
Do you blame? Okay, fine. I could blame Apple for that. Then I'm going to get people saying you're an idiot for blaming Apple. And I like Apple products. I think they make a great product. I described this to Paul in the best way possible. And we were off the air, and I didn't want to say it on his show because I get a lot of emails from people saying it's just an Apple bash fest. And I'll say it with you because I try to be in the middle. Mm-hmm. There are guys out there that want to go for the smoking hot chick. I mean, just absolutely beautiful in every sense. And that's who you go for. And there are guys that go for a good-looking girl, but she's extremely smart. Sometimes you can't have both. For me, the Mac is the really, really hot 20-year-old girlfriend. Not all there sometimes. Not the smartest girl, but absolutely beautiful. And a lot of fun to use. That's how I describe my Mac. My Mac is my midlife crisis. It's my 20-year-old girlfriend, and I'm happy with her. And that's how I describe it. That's how I'm going to describe it.
That is so you.
That's my 20-year-old girlfriend. That's all.
I think for the
send
most
the
part,
emails,
you're
guys.
fair.
Ladies and gentlemen, please send the emails. Send the emails. You're an idiot, Andrew.
We're going to have to start an email segment on Tech News Weekly now.
You're an idiot for saying that. My Mac is an i7. I know, but still. Try to run VidBlaster on the Mac. Just saying.
Why don't we move on to this Microsoft and Windows 8 startup story?
Okay. This is fascinating because...
you found this, so
I did.
Why don't you lead with it?
So on that Microsoft blog that they've been putting all the updates on, they have put a little video, and I'm going to be a little skeptic on this. They put a little video of a cold boot. So pretty much they take out the laptop so you know it's not, in hibernation mode or sleep mode. They put the laptop in, they put the battery in, they hit start, and the freaking thing starts in 10 seconds. I mean, it's ridiculously fast. Now, is this going to be in the real world? Is it going to be 10 seconds? This is really interesting because if it is, that's a huge, huge difference. I mean, this i7 laptop, i7 computer here takes me about 30 seconds to start. Mm-hmm. It takes a long time to start, and the reason why is, it has to initiate drivers, and it has to go through the pre-boot, and the system initialization. Thank you. It has to go through those steps, but it's different now. They're doing a different way of the startup.
Yeah, in the post that they made, they actually have a nice chart that shows you the process. It starts out with one section that's post and pre-boot, and then the system initialization, which includes drivers, services, the user session, which is desktop kind of stuff, and then at that point is where you get the welcome screen and you can log on. But then it'll take another few seconds before your desktop is actually ready to be used.
Yeah, so it kind of fakes
the Windows 8 test desktop that they have now. They're going to cut that and do kind of a hybrid between what you have now and the hibernation, where it saves part of the data that you wouldn't normally have in a hibernation. It doesn't do it like a full hibernation. It'll take some of that data and save it back to the hard drive. That'll greatly reduce the time that it takes to boot up the computer. So it starts out with the post and pre-boot, and then does the hyperfile reading, which is stuff that is saved to the hard drive before you restarted. Then it does the driver initialization and the user session limit. So what this all amounts to is about 30 to 70% improvement in how long it takes for your computer to start up.
I mean, 70% is a huge boost. And now this is the interesting
thing. That's
30,
on the high end.
Yeah, and they're saying 30 to 70.
That's a big,
that's a big gap.
gap.
Yeah, so the odds are it's going to be 30%, not 70%, depending on what type of machine you have. The more drivers you have, the thing about a Mac is the reason why Mac loads so fast is because of the fact that it doesn't have to go through those entire processes with finding the drivers and making sure everything is loaded.
Part of it is that Mac is a completely different kind of
and the hardware, the hardware is designed for the software.
Right, so they don't necessarily have to worry about the same situations as Microsoft has to with Windows. They don't have to have as greatly supported hardware list.
Yeah, so there's a lot that goes into this. Now, 70%, absolutely not. I don't think it's going to happen. On some machines, it will happen. When you're talking about, and by the way, you know what I wonder? That laptop that they tested on, what kind of hard drive was that?
Yeah.
Was it an SSD
they said
or was it?
This works with both traditional disk hard drives and SSDs.
No, but the hard drive that they tested on that video, my money's on that it was an SSD. I didn't think about that before. I didn't think about it before I printed the article.
I was wondering that because I'm thinking, well, SSDs are inherently faster than disk drives.
Absolutely. You'll have a 10-second boot, 9-second boot even with an SSD. An SSD on 7 right now could give you 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that was an SSD in that video. Let me go back to the website because
I'm very much skeptical like you are because we've seen these promises and these videos before 1 or 2 times where they're saying, oh, we're going to make the startup faster, and it doesn't always get delivered, or they make these promises of this hardware and they show off these concepts, but they never actually get put into production. And that's what kind of bothers me and worries me about this is this all just for show, stuff that they've thought about, that they've tried to doing, but when it actually comes time to roll it out to the public, it never actually happens. Part of what's going on here is that it's using this new BIOS called UEFI, which you have on your computer and you have some experience with.
Yeah.
And that, in large part, is one of the reasons why it's so much quicker to boot is because
here's the thing.
The code is so different and so much more optimized for computers these days.
Okay, so that is, in theory, that is true, and that's what everybody says. The UEFI, the EFI or whatever you want, UFI or UEFI. On mine it says EFI, but I've seen EFI.
Yeah, what I'm wondering is how many laptops out there actually have UEFI now?
I think a lot of them do. A lot of them have it now. But here's the thing with that. The one that has the new type of BIOS is the slowest loading one in the entire studio. It takes me anywhere from 35 to 45 seconds to boot. I forgot what the timing was, but it's insanely slow compared to the other machines. And I'm curious why. And I don't really have any hard drives connected. I don't have any of that stuff connected. I'm just curious why it takes so long to boot Windows on this one. And it has the new BIOS. So there's something funky there. So that might not be true, but I could almost guarantee you that video that they played for us on the Microsoft Windows 8 blog, it was an SSD hard drive. And therefore,
unless you're
of course,
there in person, you can't necessarily believe everything that you see.
And of course it's 70% faster. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, of course.
You're gonna be
that would be great if they can actually deliver this, and I hope they do deliver this. I mean, because it's time and time again for years we've been complaining about boot up times and just how long it takes.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, it's about time we actually get a promise delivered to us of this faster startup time.
There's a couple stories to go to actually. I in one of my stories I did have the information about the new Xbox Live that's coming out this fall, but I cannot comment on that because I may or may not have been testing it.
You may or not have signed an agreement not to say anything.
I may or may not have signed a non-disclosure. So I just want to, I know, and I do want to talk about it, and I've been wanting to talk about it for some time, but I may or may not have, and that's all I'm going to say.
That's all you can say.
But it's absolutely beautiful. It's stunning, and It's stunning. So I'll just skip right over that story because I really wanted to talk about it. And when I saw that there was more information out there,
yet you're still talking about it.
Yeah. You want to go to the iPhone 5 stuff with Deutsche Telekom because and Sprint actually. Did you get the Sprint story?
I don't think I have it on my notes, but I did read it.
So Sprint, and this story's been coming out for some time now. People have been talking about how Sprint probably will be getting. Everybody's getting it. Everybody's getting the iPhone 5.
Everybody's getting the iPhone 5 now.
I still don't
not
believe
that
it.
it's been announced or anything.
I don't believe it. I'll tell you, I don't believe any of it.
I want to believe it, but I don't.
The Wall Street Journal reported this in August, late August, and the Wall Street Journal has been extremely uncredible, if that's a word, in every sense that with the iPhone stuff, because they're just reporting nonsense. And now everybody's starting to pick up that Sprint will be getting an iPhone in mid-October. I think this is great if they open it up to everybody, but what happens to... I think it's evening the playing fields for Sprint and T-Mobile, if that happens.
I agree.
Because there are many people that don't like Verizon, don't like AT&T, and they will...
Not only that, but Sprint, which is the other story connected to the iPhone 5 here, is that Sprint has a much better unlimited data package.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're actually the only other carrier to actually offer unlimited data for any smartphone these days.
Yeah, Sprint is actually... I had Sprint when it was Nextel, and Nextel was awful. When they merged with Sprint, the service got a lot better.
I had Nextel when they were merged with Sprint, so...
Yeah, and the service got a lot better. I've been a fan of Sprint. I'm actually a fan of all of them, to be honest, except for AT&T. Verizon, I have no service, but I'm sucked in the black hole of cell phone reception, and nothing works here. But now pretty much everybody has the iPhone. What does that do to Android? And I'm really curious to see what happens to Android once the iPhone is on every platform. You don't think so? You think Android is still going to be dominant, and you think everybody's going to buy Android, and they're going to continue having the market share?
At least for a good year.
Yeah, that is interesting. See, I guess till everybody's contract expires. But if and I'm going to be honest, if I didn't have to have Android to comment on it, I would be on the iPhone. There's no reason. If you have an option between an iPhone and Sprint, iPhone and Google, and Android, I don't understand why you would not get the iPhone and you would get a phone.
Over an Android?
Over an Android. Over a phone that is buggy as hell. I just don't understand
Screen size for one.
The 4
Flash for another.
Okay.
Those are two big pluses, I think, is if you're looking for a phone that has a nice big screen, you don't necessarily find that with the iPhone anymore, because they've gone to a much smaller screen size. And when you actually compare the two, it's like, whoa, the iPhone is a lot smaller than Android devices are. So if you're actually looking for a bigger screen, it's definitely Android. Then, of course, if you're definitely somebody that wants support with Flash, there's no doubt that you can't use an iPhone, because you're just not going to get that ever with the iPhone.
Again, is Flash that important on a phone?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Well,
I don't. You know what? I've uninstalled.
Why is it not
Flash.
important to you?
I've taken Flash out of my phone. Don't need it. I took it out. I deleted Flash. Because if I keep saying, I want to know what it's like not to have Flash on this phone. And I don't look for it. I don't say, wow, I wish I had Flash on this thing. I never have. You know why? Because the web browser on this thing is so awful. There's no reason to even try to load anything with Flash.
There's a browser called Dolphin.
I've tried Dolphin.
I think you should try.
Dolphin is a lot better, but not that great.
Really?
Yeah. They're all junk. They're all junk. I've become so anti-Android in the last 3 to 6 months.
Here we go.
Where I wish that they would do good, and I'm really hopeful that 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich will be a lot better. But on Gingerbread right now, and again, I'm just going to put it out there. I am using Cyanogen. I am using an older Droid, and I have overclocked it to make it better, and it is a lot better than it was. But I have used brand new Androids for an entire day, 2 days, and it's the same problem.
So then do you think that this whole thing with Google and Motorola is going to deliver a better product than what we have today?
What do you mean, this thing with Google and Motorola? I'm sorry.
Because Google bought Motorola mobile division.
Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know. You said Motorola, but my mind said Microsoft, and I was like, what did I miss? Yes, I think it'll be a lot better because they'll be able to create hardware for the software, and they'll be able to fine-tune it towards certain software. I think what'll happen is the Motorola phones will become the Google flagship phones. and they'll get a little bit more perks than the other ones in the long run. I don't think instantly. I don't think we'll see that instantly. I was explaining to someone, they said, well, they have all these agreements with Samsung and HTC, and what's going to happen to them? And I said, well, they're still going to have the phones. I just think Motorola will get more attention than they will. You have to kind of close this up a little bit. I mean, you have to close it up. You can't be that open.
I think it's kind of been, at this point, detrimental to Android.
I know, but it's detrimental for market share, and that's why they did it. And I understand why they did it.
At the same time, another benefit of Android is that you have the choice of what app market you want to use. You want to use the Android one from Google, or do you want to use the one from Amazon? You don't necessarily have that choice with iPhone.
No, you don't. I mean, they both have their pros and cons, but I think if Google closes up shop a little, makes the hours a little bit smaller and instead of being 24 hours a day, I think they'll have better results. I don't, and this is why it sucks for them. There's so many Android phones, right? So many. Everybody's doing Android. There are these small Chinese companies putting old versions of Android. Everybody's doing 2.2, 2.1, 2.0. It's awful when somebody buys that phone and the phone is so bad they will never buy another Android phone. That's when it starts hurting them. And the bigger Android gets, the more of these issues they're going to have.
I can see that. My parents both got a Android phone.
Okay, so they are the average user. That. Your parents are the average user. What do they think of Android?
They are not fans of it.
For what reason?
It's not necessarily intuitive. Like, things just aren't laid out where you would think they were. And there's not really necessarily any help built into how do I do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, you go here to do that. It's not obvious. They don't make things obvious in Android, and that's the problem. So if you've never used Android before, there's a huge learning curve there because there's so much that's different that isn't necessarily, common sense laid out. So it becomes harder to use, and it's like you don't necessarily want to use it. My mom actually says she doesn't text as much anymore because it's just not as easy to type on.
No, you're absolutely right, actually. It's very difficult to type on. I think the touch function is not as refined as iOS. And I know a lot of people tell me I'm wrong with that, but I that's honestly how I feel.
It's a trade-off because on one hand you get a bigger screen, but on the other hand you get a smaller
screen. But listen,
screen.
we're power users. I mean, we are not the average user. So what I say doesn't really appeal to the mainstream. It doesn't affect the mainstream. The mainstream could love it, but my wife that uses Android hates the phone. My mother-in-law that used Android went to iOS. Your parents do not like Android. I'm using Android and I'm not happy with it. I have to use it and I'm really hopeful that they do well. And again, I hope they do well, but I am open and I am honest and I'm understanding that this is not the most perfect OS and it's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt them.
It's kind of to the point where Apple has met its match in terms of marketing.
Yeah. It's interesting. This stuff is really interesting. Did you hear the reports that another iPhone was lost?
Another one?
Yeah.
I knew there was one a couple of weeks ago that was lost at a bar in San Francisco. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, there's another one apparently. Some rumors came out today. I didn't want to really cover it, but I wanted to bring it up that I don't know if it's true or not. But they are saying that another one was lost, so who knows what's happening. You want to talk about this Amazon 7-Eleven locker thing? Because isn't that the most... It's weird to me. Like, isn't it weird?
I'm sorry, this seems like such a... Yeah, what we're talking about is that Amazon is wanting to install these P.O. Box-like installation in 7-Eleven so that you can have your Amazon packages delivered to a 7-Eleven near you. You can go to the 7-Eleven and you can pick it up. As if you're, if you're at work, you got nobody to sign for a package, you can just have it dropped off at this Amazon P.O. box inside a 7-Eleven near your work, and you can just get it on your way home.
I'm curious why, though. Is it that big of a problem?
See, that's what I don't understand.
It has to be. People must be complaining, saying, I'm not home to pick up. I wish you had a pickup service. I mean...
But how many people have you known that
I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody.
Because to me, this seems very bizarre and very old school.
Yeah,
it's something I would have expected to see, like, late 1990s, early 2000s, that kind of thing where they're trying to break into where it's an online retailer trying to break into the real world.
Yeah, I'm
And
just
this
curious
is their
why
way to
they have
do that.
they have like a locker system at 7-Eleven. I just found that weird that they would do that.
Yeah, and they even make note of it in this article. They said the system looks something like a gigantic retro hybrid of an ATM and the wall of a post office box.
When I read the story, I thought I was reading it wrong and I was missing something because everybody was talking about this, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm missing in that story. Again, they're testing it right now. Currently, it's not
Yeah, I think
fully
there's
implemented
one location that's going to launch Friday, which is today.
in
so-
Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle.
Yeah, the Amazon has had
But
a
it's
similar
just-
system in
it's
place
so
in Japan.
bizarre looking.
They've been doing this in Japan for a couple of years now.
But that's Japan. There's a
Yeah.
vending machine for everything in Japan.
I don't know.
You could get panties from a vending machine
Yes, you
in
can.
Japan.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I don't know. I just found it weird. It's a weird story, and it's a weird thing that they're doing, and I'm curious on why. And I'm sure there's going to be some sort of tie-in and with something they're doing. I cannot see that this is being the sole reason why they're doing this.
Yeah, I'm having a very hard time understanding the benefits that everybody can get from this. I mean, I guess in one way it works for 7-Eleven where they get customers to come into the store and maybe they'll buy a pop and something to snack on while they're there. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems very expensive to do something like this for very little gain. What does Amazon actually gain from doing this?
I don't know. I guess people won't be complaining, and I think what you could also do is buy products in Amazon products in the store. So you could go there
That
and you
would
can
be
start
bizarre, though.
surfing.
If you're looking for something on Amazon to buy and you're actually in a 7-Eleven, I think that's a little weird.
Yeah.
I mean, would you go to a 7-Eleven to buy something from Amazon?
I don't know, but I wouldn't go pick up anything from I wouldn't get my mail sent to 7-Eleven either. The argument is there are many people in city areas, and this is where it becomes interesting, and I could understand it. There are many people in city areas that are working and do not want their stuff left on their stoop. Let's say Detroit, for example. You would not want your shipment of whatever
hell
you got
no.
from Amazon left on your stoop while you're at work. So what you could do is say, okay, send it to the 7-Eleven by me, and I'll pick it up when I get home. In that sense, I find that, that is...
But then again, every check and go here in Detroit gets robbed every other day, too.
Sure. But in that way, it's a safer way for them to get their products and to pick up their products. But I wonder how big of a problem that is for Amazon. How many people are complaining? And I'm sure it
we
has to
really
be a
haven't
huge
gotten a
number.
whole lot of specifics other than, this very anonymous photo from somebody saying, we saw this at some 7-Eleven store in Seattle. It really didn't have anything on it, but I guess it's apparently for Amazon. There's just so very few details. Amazon really haven't said much about this other than they hope to take it nationwide.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
I'm like, really? Why?
Yeah.
I'm just having a very tough time understanding what the gain for Amazon is here.
Why don't we do our picks? What do you think?
I want to talk about one more story.
Oh, go
before
ahead.
we-
Go
before
ahead.
we
Oh, I know which
picks.
story. Go ahead.
This whole Nike shoe.
Yes,
know
the
you
Marty
love this
McFly.
story.
I actually want to buy this thing.
The shoes that Marty McFly wore in Back to the Future when he was in 2015.
Yeah.
Nike is actually producing about 1,500 pairs of these.
How much are they going to be? Because when I saw it, I'm like, hey, you know what? I would love to get my hands on these.
They're cool. I wish they actually had the technology that they had in the movie.
Like
It doesn't
rockets?
necessarily have.
What did he have
I'll-
on the movie in the movie?
Well, you know how you put it on and it custom fits to your foot.
Yeah.
It's one size fits all, and it just adjusts itself and everything.
Yes,
It does
yes.
include the LEDs on it, but
I wish
it's
we
not
were in
really that modern.
2025. I wish we were in 2025. Tom says
They
he
did
wants a
sell
flying
one in
skateboard.
a
I do want the
auction.
flying skateboard, actually.
This is the very first pair of the Nike Air Mag, the Marty McFly shoe from Back to the Future 2, was auctioned off in LA last night, and the winning bidder dropped $37,500
Holy crap.
for this pair of shoes.
Wait a minute. The thing has lights on the back. It has like a circuit
Yeah, it's
board
got
in the back.
LEDs.
Holy crap. I want this.
They've got 1,500 pairs, and I guess they're gonna sell most of them or all of them on eBay.
Oh, so the thing is going to be thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's going to be auctioned off.
Oh man, this is
It
such.
says the shoe contains an LED panel, just like the movie. It's fully rechargeable, and each charge fueling around 5 hours of awesomeness.
This is such an awesome shoe, actually.
You know what they need to sell with this, though,
The
right?
skateboard,
The hoverboard.
the hoverboard, yeah. Just you know what they could do? Why not just put the hoverboard there, like as a novelty thing? Just have the shoe and the hoverboard.
Why not?
I would, and the shoe straps onto the hoverboard, and you could just put it between two chairs and just float around.
I don't know. It looks a little goofy to me. I mean, I think it's great that they're doing this. I think it's a really good novelty for Nike to do, but at the same time, I don't know. It's cool.
And that, my friends, is what we call a fluff piece.
Yeah, but come on, it's cool.
It's a cool story. Time for picks of the week, Suncast.
All right,
this is
you can
where-
go first this week. I always go
All right,
first.
so actually, I gotta load up my camera.
Oh, you got to load up? All right, well, then I guess I'll do mine while you do your thing. My pick this week is called Multi-Obfuscator. It's advanced cryptography software. It's kind of like TrueCrypt, only it's a little bit easier and a little bit no-brainer. It's easier to manage. You could use TrueCrypt to hide your volumes and your data that you want to encrypt and protect. But what if you just want something that's a little bit easier? You don't have to do all the stuff with creating a volume with TrueCrypt and all that stuff. Well, Multi-Obfuscator is a good program for something like that because it has 3 layers of protection. It offers your file locking, unlocking. You can do text unlock. It'll scramble. It'll encrypt. It'll do some base cryptography as well, I believe. It does 3 layers of protection, basically. So what you can do is you install the program. It's great. It's portable even. And you can basically just click a button and tell it what file you want to encrypt after setting up a couple of things. It's great because it also has a nice step-by-step quick guide that you can refer to for examples. I'll tell you exactly what to do if you want to just use it for something really basic. Or they also have advanced features with the program. So if you're more of an advanced user, you can also use it in an advanced setting as well.
Awesome. That's a cool pick. Mine's a little bit more simple, though.
Is it?
Yeah. So it is
you're
back
gonna
to
one-up
school.
me then.
No, I'm not going to one up you. It's back to school season. All the kids are going back to school, and a lot of people are have bought iPads, and they are trying to take notes on their iPad. I know a lot of college people going back to college, and they told me about this app called NoteShelf, and it's a note-taking application. So let's open up one. So here is you could have different books for different classes. So you could design a book, whatever you want to do. So you have different you have wide ruled, college ruled, plain paper, legal paper. You could have pretty much every kind of paper, and you could have a different cover as well. So let's go to plain paper and let's do that. Let's create. You can create your book. Let's open up the book. And if you have a stylus, I don't have mine on me right now, you could just, take your notes. And it's fairly accurate. I actually like how accurate it is with the note-taking. I was actually surprised how accurate it was. If you could focus in here. It's too white. The camera's not balanced. But it's a really cool app. It's called NoteShelf. It's in the App Store. And you could do everything pretty much that you want to do with note-taking. You could do it with this app.
Kind of like a whiteboard.
Like a whiteboard, but you could also you could save it. So if you have, for your science class, you just open up your science notes and you write your notes for science class. And if you want to take it for another class, you could just have another notebook for that. In theory, it should work great. I don't know for the long run how comfortable you will be writing with a stylus on this, but it is fairly accurate. And I did like the way that it converted, my text.
Cool.
So it's called NoteShelf. It's in the App Store on iOS, and that's my pick. What do you think of that? Simple, right? A nice simple pick.
Yes.
I want to remind everybody you can tune in live every Friday, 5 p.m. East for Tech News Weekly. Next week, I believe Eric Lanigan will be on next week. He just sent me the email, so he'll be joining us on Tech News Weekly. You can subscribe to us on the iTunes store and also on Zune and pretty much everywhere else. If you go to jfknetwork.com, you could just hit the little subscribe thing on the side and subscribe. You could also watch live at jfklive.tv, on Stitcher, on I believe now on iOS devices, right? You can watch live.
Yep.
So we have tuned gfqlive.tv to function on a iOS device. And again, send me an email. Tell me you hate me and I'm a fanboy at guysfromqueens@gmail.com. And we'll see you all next week on Tech News Weekly. Good night, everybody.